I never forget, I was dating this woman and we were going through some difficult challenges. And I remember there was a time where she broke up with me via text. You know, that, hey, we need to talk. I received that in a written form. It was several messages that basically conveyed to me that it was over. And I was so disappointed. I was disappointed initially because we broke up, but I was also disappointed the way that we broke up. I'm like, weren't we better than this? We talked and laughed and joked and all these types of things in person, but I received a text message to convey something that I preferred to happen verbally. Have you ever been disappointed by somebody that you felt as though you had some history with them, you had a good history with them, and you have a decent rapport to where they're giving you information that was text instead of talked? There's people that love to type, and I'm one of them. If I'm shooting you a quick message like, hey, how's your day? I may text it to you, especially if I'm not able to talk on the phone. But there's certain messages that we need to be able to convey in person. If it's a quick message saying, hey, let's meet up later, or hey, I was just checking on you to see how your day was. But the more in depth things, we need to be able to speak face to face, especially with people that we know. Because if we don't, what happens is it causes for the person to read it the way that they're thinking that we've intended it. So certain emotions and certain inflections or certain nonverbals they're not getting through the typed message. I know it's convenient. I know that we're all busy. We have full schedules. But if it's something serious, it's something that requires a dialogue where I'm sending you a message, which I'm verbalizing, and you're giving it back to me and checking to make sure that you're receiving it the way that I sent it, it's going to require for us to sit down. It's going to require for us to be able to break down that message and be able to talk through the differences and not make it eliminates the ability or eliminates assumptions. If we are continually walking and talking and sending these long messages, especially when it comes to something that is pressing on our hearts or pressing on our minds, it's going to cause for people to misunderstand what we're saying. If they're not understanding where we're coming from, then what causes us to get mad or have negative emotions is that they're giving us a version of what they understood our message to be. And if we're not there to say, hey, no, I didn't mean it that way. I know it may have, if you're writing it down, they can read it a certain way. But if they're there, you can stop them and say, I see where you're going with that. That's not what I meant. Let me clarify. It's a lot quicker, and you're able to catch the misunderstanding at an earlier stage instead of 6 messages later. Now you're trying to clean up something that could have been caught before all those messages were sent. So I'm not saying that we need to stop texting, but there's certain instances where we are typing when we should be talking. There's nothing to replace talking. Talking allows for us to really think through our thoughts, allows us to be able to articulate what's going on. It also shows our emotions, our nonverbals, our gesturing, our body language, our voice inflection. Are we using an upbeat tone or are we being more condescending? It allows for the receiver to really receive all of those things, the verbal and nonverbal parts of communication. And with typing, they're only receiving one part of it, which is them reading what we're saying. So when they're reading what we're saying, it can cause for them to misconstrue what we're saying. If we're saying something that is very complex, if we're bringing multiple points at once, let's just sit down and talk, y'all. Let's talk like we're talking right now. Let's talk it out instead of typing it out, especially when it's something that's complex. Simple, hi, how's your day? How you doing? What's going on? Hey, can we get together later? Those are the types of messages that would be more appropriate for typing. But for talking, let's have that open dialogue and be able to sit down and talk and let everything out, both the verbal and nonverbal parts of communication. Let's be better communicators. And with being better communicators, we can have better relationships.